Pedals are fun. But let's assume you've never seen one of these before and you just want to know where to start. Well, I've grabbed a load here to give you a bit of an overview of what to do with these cool stomp boxes. The pedal order is very, very important. The first step is finding, okay, well, what tones do I want to get? How wacky do I want to get? And what pedals allow me to achieve them? And if you're playing something like stoner metal, you might want 4 fuzzers. And then we'll mix it all up, show you what I do, hopefully give you some inspiration and push it a step further. So, you want to expand your tone, you want to do something fun, you want to get experimental. Well, where most people start is with a few really of the common effect types. So, your time-based stuff. A lot of people will grab a delay and a reverb. These allow you to thicken your sound and expand it slightly. Same thing with a chorus. That is the most common modulation that people will go for. And then depending what style of music you're playing, what tones you're trying to wrangle from your guitar, you will get some form of gain. The indie kids might go for some low gain options, a boost or a drive. You know, if you want a bit more rocky, you might go for a distortion. And then if you're playing something like stoner metal, you might want 4 fuzzers. So whatever you want to do there, just grab what is the flavorings that you're going to need from your gain staging. A wah, let's be honest, everybody wants to try a wah. That was the first pedal I wanted to try. I wanted to do the whole, you know, everybody loves it, so I'd recommend everybody has a wah at some point in their lives. A volume pedal you might need, control your just volume, keeping your hands free, that's nice. And then a tuner, everybody should have, just functionality, come on, you don't want to go out of tune, that's silly. And then I love octave and pitch shifting. So, the first step is finding, okay, well, what tones do I want to get? How wacky do I want to get? And what pedals allow me to achieve them? I've picked here just a range to show you what you can do, but it's worth deep diving, finding ones that suit your exact sound, and going from there. But then once you've got them, what do you do with them? Well, the pedal order is very, very important, and if you ask people, you are going to get a range of different answers as to what the correct way to order your pedals is. And I'll take this opportunity to say there is no right or wrong, despite what people tell you, and no matter how aggressively they tell you, that is complete nonsense. The whole point of these things and why they're fun is because you get experimental, you're trying to find new sounds. And by getting hands-on and switching and finding cool orders is how you unlock new tones, and that is the fun of it. And it's why people like me love this stuff, because it's a tactile, physical way to change your sound. So, this order in front of me now is the order that I think probably the most common answers you're going to get would be to say to set it up like this. Now, some of this makes sense, and I would say there are some concrete rules, and I'll just touch on these first. Your tuner probably should be first in your chain, and that is because you want the purity of the signal so it can detect your pitch and give you the most accurate readouts possible. You know, you want your tuner to be accurate, so put it in the order where it makes sense to deliver that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's the same thing actually with octave and pitch shifting. You need the purity of signal so it can detect the note and do its thing, DSP wise basically. Again, this isn't even hard and fast because like the original whammies were known for being glitchy. And if you wanted to play into that, you might deliberately put it later to play into the glitchy thing. So anything that's affecting you sonically is completely up for debate. However, more functionality focused pedals, utility based like tuners and noise gates, have more hard and fast rules, really. So going through, yep, you've got your tuner, you've got your time bass, you've got the Pico Pog here, which is super compact, super cool. A volume pedal, a wah, your gain staging, your mods, and then your time based. And that kind of makes sense if you think about it. So you get your things that are affecting your pitch first, you then kind of, then your gain staging, which is in this order, going up in gain linearly. And that's for me, that is some of the most subjective because that is entirely what you're trying to get out of it. Think about it that way. This might not make sense, and I think doesn't make sense for most people, despite what people will tell you. You then got your modulations. Generally, you're more subtle into your more wacky. Again, entirely up for debate, but that's what most people will say. Noise gate, because you're trying to contain the dirt normally, which is going to add the most noise into your signal. And then finish with your time bass, because normally you want those repeats or that cavernous sound to come on top of everything else. And that's the best way to think about it. Think about each of these boxes as what they're doing to your tone and try and think about it that way, and the synergy between all those pedals. So there's a chance actually you might want to have that delay and then have a heavy fuzz on top of it if you're trying to create something soundscapey, ambient. So in that case, bring the delay earlier in the chain. That's up for debate. But this, as a way of setting up when you're starting out and you just want to get an order together that works for you, and you can start to experiment and play, this makes sense. And this was where I started. When I built my first board, I kind of followed these rules and did it like this. However, very quickly, you will start to experiment, if you're anything like me, at least. So, I'm going to quickly grab the guitar now and show you what this sounds like, because there's no good just kind of hearing it theoretically. You'll need to hear what these things are doing and hear what the delay on top of the dirt sounds like and stuff like that. And then we'll mix it all up, show you what I do, hopefully give you some inspiration and push it in a step further. But grabbing the guitar, some of the tones you can wrangle out of this order. Clean signal first. So there you go, that's the standard order. You can wrangle ethereal tones at the end there, really dirty tones, and I've only touched on a very small array there of what you can wrangle out of this order. But now I'm going to mix it all up. I'm going to do that and get wacky with it and then talk you through exactly why I've done what and hopefully give you a little bit of inspiration. Although, as you'll find out when you do it yourself, the most fun part of all of this is doing it yourself and experimenting and trying it out. But this is what I would do. And here's what we're left with. So, quickly talk you through it, although you have eyes and you can see. First two stay the same. As I say, I explained why earlier. You need them there for them to work properly. I've then put the chorus before all my gain. Why? Because I like thickening my signal before it hits all the dirt pedals. It feels like you're giving the signal a bit more oomph for the dirt to work with. You've got this slightly thicker sound, and I feel that really works well, especially with fuzz. I've then rearranged entirely the dirt section, my gain staging. So I'm starting with the distortion. I've then got a boost when I want to kick the distorted tone up a gear. I've then got the fuzz, so I want to go more kind of square wavy and harsher clipping. And then I've got the drive after that for when I'm just using the fuzz and I want to use the drive to push the fuzz. And the myriad of tones that can unlock suits me, which is on the kind of more clipping than gain side. But again, the type of music you play will suit that. So just think about what you're trying to achieve. I've then put the wah after it so I can potentially make that tone a bit more dynamic and move it around. Same thing with the Mod Factory, using a phaser instantly, even though if I've still got the fuzz on, I can just wash the tone out, make it sound ambient and cool and soundscapey and big. Noise gate stays in the same place because it's doing the same thing. It's utility based. And then again, actually same with the time based, delay into reverb suits me. I'd rather have the reverb applied to the repeats than repeat the cavernous reverb sound. And then finishing with the volume pedal, which I think there, again, is more utility based because then you're just getting a sweep of your overall signal. So if you've got a quieter section and you just want to knock the tone down a bit, you can do that with your foot without taking your hands off the guitar. So hopefully I've explained now why I've made the changes that I've made. I'll play through it now so you can hear what I've explained, because it's all quite wishy-washy, this stuff sometimes, and everyone has their own opinions on why they want certain things, and they'll try and tell you that as if it's matter of fact. But as I said before, if anyone tells you there is a right way and says it with any authority, they're talking absolute rubbish. So let's hear what this order sounds like, because it is quite different to your standard order. You know what the Pog sounds like there, so let's try hearing the modulation before the dirt. But mentioned the fuzz, so. Let's have a bit of fun with it. So there you go. I was able to unlock ethereal soundscapes on top of dirt there, whilst thickening my signal beforehand, still having the utility of modulation further down as well. And I know there's a lot of pedals here, but that allowed me to do different things, but just by swapping the order of the pedals, not by buying anything new, not by doing anything radical, just by changing the order, I can unlock really new, exciting things, which the reason why we like pedals is because they do this. So you may as well play into it, get hands-on, try it out, see if you can create and unlock new things, because that's what's really cool. And once you've figured that out, that's when you slap it on a board. That's when you decide, okay, well, do I need something Diddy Micro because I only need a little bit of slapback and reverb? Or do I need to build more of like a spaceship of a board and have a million and, you know, 2 different reverbs and 3 delays and 4 fuzzers and you know, if you're playing some soundscape in ambient, that may well be what you need. But just make sure you've kind of thought about the order and the effects and what they're doing to your signal first, because that's genuinely the best way to think about it and debunk and demystify some of these ideas about what the correct way to order your pedals is. Because as I say, there is no right and wrong, it's what works for you. So there you go. You know, if you're starting out on your pedal journey or you've already got a few and you want to find new things to do with it, hopefully that's given you some ideas, a little bit of inspiration. I love these things. It's been a ton of fun making this. I feel like I've only scratched the surface. I want to get even deeper, but we'll save that for another time. Let me know what your preferred order is, because I'm dead curious what pedals you've got, what you like to chuck away. If you've got any cool things that you think might not have been heard, let me know. But I've been Tom. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.